Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to share with you my process for painting realistic ripples in the water using watercolor. The first thing I'm doing is actually freehand sketching on the water. Now, normally for a complex composition like this, where there's a lot going on in the background and the water has a lot of intricate little shapes, usually I do end up tracing or projecting something like that onto my paper before I start. But with this one, it was so small. It's only about 4 by 6 inches in size. So I figured that I could probably handle freehand sketching it on. So I'm just looking for the largest shapes. In this case, I see that large green shape that's coming behind the otter's head. And I'm trying to separate everything based on color and shape. And so that's what I'm sketching on right now. I'm carefully studying my reference photo and just trying to get as close a sketch as I can. It's totally okay if it's not perfect, if some of your shapes deviate from the reference photo slightly, but for the most part, I try to get it as close as I can. And then before actually painting the water, I'm going to use masking fluid to protect all of the white areas in the paper. This does take some time, but it will ultimately make it so much easier to paint around those little white areas with dark colors freely and loosely. So you can see I'm just kind of watching my reference photo and painting on with this Daniel Smith masking fluid, the little tiny dots and some of the little crease shapes, ripples. Every little shape that I see in the reference photo that's pure white or almost pure white, I'm covering up with the masking fluid. Now at the top of the composition where it's mostly white, I'm not going to do that. I can actually just paint the dark shapes inside of the white area and that'll be easier. With the masking fluid finished and dry, I can actually go over the top of the painting using the colors I've chosen for the water. For this bright blue, I'm actually mixing my 3 blues, cobalt blue, ultramarine, and sky blue. And depending on what I see in the reference photo, I adjust my values, of course. Within the water, you're going to see basically a reflection of the sky above. So I'm trying to match the colors that I see. And then sometimes you'll have these rather complex convergences where you have the blue combined with the brown of the otter under the water, for example. So just try to see color and shape as individual little elements. This is fairly intricate painting and it helps to be a detail-oriented person, but anybody can do this. It's almost like putting a puzzle together. You just take one little detail at a time and you can get lost in the process, and it really is quite fun. So here it's important to make sure that your blue and your brown shapes are not muddy, so always rinse your brush in between your colors. Over the top of that light blue, I'm applying another darker layer. This isn't necessarily exactly what I'm seeing in the reference photo. I'm also using some of my knowledge that I've acquired from painting things similar to this. Having liked how that looked, I can apply it to this new painting as well. So I'm painting all the blue shapes first. If you want, you can stick with just one color at a time, complete all the blue areas that you see before moving on to the next color. I next mix up a dark green. This is using a forest green color combined with a little bit of brown to make it a natural color, and I want it to be really dark. So I'm painting on these dramatic dark green shapes that I see in the reference photo, and then any areas of brown that I might have missed, I can paint those in next. Again, make sure to rinse your brush in between your colors to keep them as pure as possible. With water ripples that are this detailed, it's not essential that you do tons of blending. In fact, that's one of the fun things about it. It's almost like filling in a coloring book once you have a good sketch. You're just filling in all the shapes that you see with the colors that you're looking at in the reference photo, and you don't have to worry about softening or blending too much, especially if you have masking fluid, which is protecting the white areas. So you can just loosely and quickly fill in all of those shapes that you see. I'm adding a little bit more brown here to the otter's body, helping him look like he has some weight under the water. And in this area where it's kind of complex, you've got these blues and whites and browns all at the same spot. Just do your best. Once it's all dry, remove your masking fluid using either a clean dry paper towel or finger or eraser, whatever works best for you. And then after the masking fluid is removed, you can see that some of the lines look a little bit unnatural. We do need to add some touch-ups to our masked areas. So I take my blue and I'm actually kind of encircling some of those white highlights to help them feel more blended, especially where they bump up right next to the dark areas. So take your blue color, adjust your values depending on what you see in the reference photo, and just modify or fill in any highlights with the details that we're missing. When you're looking at it really closely and studying it like this, it tends to look fairly abstract up close, but when you step back, you'll be able to see just how amazing and beautiful the overall image is. So there's the bird's eye view on how I paint ripples with watercolor. If you guys want to follow along with me and look over my shoulder and paint the entire otter portrait, it is available in real time through my Watercolor Mastering membership. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can check that out. Thanks so much for watching today. Check out these other videos all about painting with watercolor, and I'll see you there.